Dear Rockstar, you get to be here with another rock star. Aren't you lucky? And aren't I lucky? Nekeya, I'm glad you're here with us.
Thank you.
I've been trying to get this girl here, so I'm glad that our schedules are colliding right here now for this time. So I know you're the labor pro. That's your business.
Yes.
But you're so much more than that. But you want to give everybody that doesn't know you just a little bit about what Labor Pros does, and we'll go into it a little bit more later, but.
Yeah, sure. So I'm the president and founder of the Labor Pros. It is a management consulting group that advises companies when their employees are kind of being courted with union propaganda. What makes unhappy employees kind of lean towards that direction. And we work with them and give them an opportunity and an avenue to listen to their employees to create change so that they don't feel the need to go outside and unionize.
Wow, right?
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
So let's go back. I want to know about Nekeya, the little girl. What was your early childhood like? How did life unfold for you?
Wow. So I grew up in a little small country town called Dunnellon, Florida. Many people haven't heard of it, but
Dunnella?
it's Dunnellon, Dunnellon.
Not Nutella.
It's outside of Ocala and in between Crystal River.
Okay.
So if you kind of know 441, it kind of runs right smack through Dunnellon. I am the sibling. My mom had 5 children. Grew up more or less as a single mom. My parents divorced when I was probably about 5.
Yeah.
So my mom was a very hard worker. She worked most of her life as a cook and a substitute teacher's aide kind of thing. I have an older sister, a younger sister, and 2 younger brothers.
Okay.
So I was kind of like that middle child,
Yeah.
the middle girl, which
Yeah.
I think is worse than the middle child. The older one gets away with everything, your parents are stricter on you, and then the baby, the one under you kind of does whatever, right? They're over it by then.
Yeah.
I grew up on a street called Henry Blair Lane. Went through a lot. You know, I remember really great times as a child, but more or less I remember a lot of struggle. So growing up, my mom had a big emphasis on education. She was started having her kids in her early 20s, married my dad in her mid 20s, and basically kind of gave up education to raise her kids, which kind of left her in just a posture of uphill battle.
Yeah.
Always an uphill battle. My oldest sister started her family as a teenage mom.
Yeah.
So, you know, that added one more mouth to feed, as my mom would call it. So I kind of was always very different.
Yeah.
You know, I saw that and I knew immediately, like, this is not how I want to live when I have a choice. Right now I'm a kid. I have to live however my parents live, right? But as soon as I have a choice, I'm going away to school. I'm going to, you know, I read a lot. I remember reading a lot. Punishment was reading encyclopedias. And then my mom, or dictionaries, and my mom would just pick a word.
I love your mom.
And you had to know the definition, because the other punishment was probably getting a pop or whooping or whatever.
Whatever came
So,
from
yeah.
not knowing the definition.
Of course. So if you were from A to C, that was a lot of words she could possibly pick to have you define. And now when I look back at that, you know, it was her way of, you know, just kind of infusing some part of learning into even her style of discipline. You know, you were reading something, you were, give me a definition, and she just opened the dictionary. If she gave you from A to C, she could pick any word. So literally when you were on punishment, you were almost in like study hall, because you had no clue, you know, what word she would choose to get you out of punishment. That was your exit from, you know, being in punishment. So I smile about it now. My mom lost the battle to colon cancer in 2002. And so she died at the age of 51, which taught me something even in her death. My mom would always say, when I retire, I'm going to travel. When I retire, I'll take my first cruise. When I turn 65, she said it over and over and over, but she died at 51. So I just decided, you know what, damn it, I'm living. I'm living my life on my terms. I'm going to do things against the grain. People who like me, who love me, will be accepted. People who don't, stay to the left. Look, and I'm okay with that.
Move over.
Right, exactly. Like Beyonce's song To the Left meant something totally different for me. That's exactly where people who did not support, the views that I had for my life, and being a person who want to help and please everybody. I don't like to see people sad or upset. I'm like the fixer, the connector. And I think typically that draw the wrong type of people to your energy.
Interesting. So lots of things to talk about there. I also lost my mom at 50. She was 50.
Wow.
Really hard worker, entrepreneur. But let's go back. And so what was the first thing that happened that you started to get the confidence in? Was it high school, middle school, of I will be able to chart my core? Like, what happened?
Wow. So third grade. So we lived in Dunellen, which is divided by 2 counties, Citrus County and Marion County. So Marion County schools were typically more minority. Citrus County schools, the year that I went to third grade, we were bussed out to the neighboring town of like Citrus Springs, which was typically not many minorities. In the third grade, I had a teacher named Miss Wanda Koppel. She changed my life, because growing up in poverty, coming to school, sleeping on the bus, you're tired, maybe you didn't eat, breakfast that morning or whatever the case may have been. I kind of acted out in school. You put me in a class and I'm the only person that looks like me, have the hair texture I have, the skin tone that I have, and I'm supposed to just get along and make it work, right?
And I'm a third grader.
And I'm a third grader. So yeah, and I came from the side of the tracks that, you're not gonna say anything to me. You're not gonna pull my hair or push me down, like, because I'm almost 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
So I started.
And with that hair, you're like 10 feet tall.
And I had that type of attitude. I felt 10 feet tall. So I act out a lot, right? And so Miss Koppel would take me every single day, and I would stay after school, and she would work with me, and she just was the most loving and amazing human being. And she was not my complexion. She was a white lady. So that kind of gave me like a whoa, because we weren't raised to be that trusting of people who didn't look like us. The time and the place in which we were being brought up, that was very dangerous. So when I saw this lady who did not look like me, she was not the same color that I was, and the love and the commitment to me being a better person, it was just overwhelming.
Yeah.
And anytime I got in trouble, they would go and get Miss Koppel anytime I acted out. And she was kind of like my mom away from home, who basically was able to show me that love was love. And it really didn't matter what package it came into, because it's horrible people who look like me, and it's people who are horrible who don't, and it's amazing people who don't look like I look, and it's people who are amazing that do. So that taught me at a young age that I can't judge a book simply just by the cover that it presents itself to me. And I think because of that, I was able to open up and receive blessings from everywhere. Because had that not happened, I would have grown up very closed off, believing one thing about a certain group of people. Right. And that probably may have caused me to not be so open, as I got older.
I've gotten down to believing there's a racist inside of all of us. And how we heal the world is we heal the racist inside of us.
Yeah. Or just the prejudiceness, being,
whatever that, any kind of the discrimination inside that, it starts here. This is how we change the world. So third grade, and then what was your next big feat?
I got into sports. I think that all children, I don't care if it's hockey, basketball, or badminton, they should play a team sport.
What sport did you play?
Basketball and track. So I ran track for about a year. It was too hot. It was Florida. I was like,
Florida. I ran all the time, but I was in Seattle, man. Here I can barely sit outside.
I'm like, look, I need an indoor sport. So it happened to be basketball. And I had the next amazing person that came into my life. His name was Coach Ron Allen. He was my high school basketball coach. And discipline. He did not let me get away with anything. Nikki! I could hear him now screaming my name from the sideline. So they called me Nikki when I grew up or whatever and played sports. And every day after school, I remember for every free throw that I missed in a game, he made me run suicides at practice. And for those of you who don't know what
I
a suicide
played basketball. I know what a suicide is, and I still missed free throws.
Oh my God. And then as we progressed and, sports became extremely important to me, this is what he would do. For every free throw that you missed, you stand on the sideline and you watch your teammates run suicides. So now when you're in a game, you are focused because this is about more than me. And that's the life lesson that taught me. Sometimes our actions are our not taking an opportunity when it presents itself. It doesn't cost us. It costs the next generation that's depending on me to make that decision.
Oh,
whether
preach
it's in
it,
fear.
sister. Like,
So,
I feel like I'm in church, guys. Like, right?
So, I mean,
Oh
that's
my
what
gosh.
it taught me. I mean, how many decisions
Say
have
that
you
again.
made?
Say that again.
So sometimes your actions or the lack of taking an action, whether it be an opportunity, you're afraid to do something so you don't do it. Sometimes it doesn't necessarily affect you. It's going to affect the people that you care about, your team, so to speak. So after high school, I applied to colleges and I got accepted into FAMU, which is Florida A&M University. It's in Tallahassee, Florida. And I decided I wanted to try out for basketball because my senior year in high school, I had an injury where I messed my ankle up. So any hope of scholarships at that time was voided. So I had to take the long route, which is to walk on and just earn a position on a team, which is what I decided to do at Florida A&M. So the tryouts, the 2-a-day practices, the weight room. So I conditioned myself that this is what I wanted to accomplish. And I did. Walked on to the team. And then that February 1997, a drunk driver T-boned a car that I was a passenger in, where I went through to the windshield and, in a blink of an eye, because of somebody else's bad judgment, me and 4 of my friends were hospitalized. I fractured my arm, leg, dislocated my jaw. So now I'm in rehab and I'm at a low place. I'm a freshman going into my sophomore year. I'm the first person in my family to go to university. So this was so important. And I'm, basically distraught. What do you do? What do you do when the plan that you'd created for your life is somehow now not possibly the plan?
Not what I thought is the title of my life. Right, not the life I ordered. Hey, God,
You sent me the wrong life. Can I add some ketchup? Yeah. And that's kind of like what it was. So I went to physical therapy. I went to rehab, and I fought. And I decided that, this is not going to beat me. And then I decided to major in, guess what? Physical therapy. Because the little 4'11" young lady named Sarah, that was my physical therapist. We called them physical terrorists back then because
physical
I
terrorists.
can't walk. You're gonna one more step, Nekeya, one more, and I'm like, oh my God, she's gonna kill me. So I decided to go to at FAMU and major in PT, and that was, oh my God, a challenge.
Yeah.
Because like
That's
most
a long journey.
Oh yeah, like most young girls, I kind of conditioned myself that I didn't like science. I love science now because it just wasn't really fun in high school and middle school.
Right.
Now, having a background in science was just amazing. So I ended up not knowing at the time that you don't just go to physical therapy school. You do 2 years of undergrad, then you apply.
Right.
And now you got to get accepted into a whole nother college.
Right.
Within a college, within a university, right? So something like 300 or 400 people apply for these spots and they accept like 25. So school was really not my thing. I went to school because I kind of had to. I've always been entrepreneurial,
right,
I've
yeah.
always,
Learning's one thing, school's
is
another.
a different thing, right? So I got accepted into the PT program. And now it's kind of like, God, you answer a prayer, you open a door, but it's hell on the other side of the door. It's like, is this really what I wanted?
Yeah, there's something like be careful what you pray for, right?
Right, so now I get into PT school, I graduate with my degree in physical therapy. And my mom was alive to see my graduation. And she died the following year. So I have the photos in my cap and gown, and my mom was there, and that's very important that I was the first person in my immediate family to go to university,
Yeah.
and my mom was there to kind of watch
To
me.
celebrate it.
Yeah, walk across
And then she was
receive my
such
degree.
a big part of it. Like all those punishments with that dictionary and the encyclopedia and all that insisting on reading. I was talking to a parent last night. It's work to help our children get the fundamentals of what it's going to be necessary for them to become lifetime learners.
Oh yeah,
Right?
yeah, forever.
So
I mean,
you had so you did PT and now you're the labor pro. Like, right? There's got to be a good story there.
oh my God. So graduate, and now guess what? You don't just get a degree in physical therapy. You got to take state boards. So it's like, wait a
It's
minute.
like being a lawyer or something. It's just
Yeah.
on and
On, and it never ends. So now I'm studying to take my state boards, and I need a job. So I look back then you would look in the paper for jobs because, internet was kind of new in the like early 2000s.
You act like this is so long ago.
Oh,
I love this.
20 years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
That's kind of wow.
It's scary.
Yeah.
2000 was 20.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's going to be 20 years that I've been out of school almost, right? High school. So I look, and it's this transit company that's advertising like a job, and all you have to do is pick like elderly people up in a little bus and take them to like their doctor's appointments, or it's like the paratransit. And I decide, oh, I could do that. Go and I get a job doing that. And while I'm working for this company, the union targets them. And because I was a new employee, my name was on the roster. And so the company hired a firm that came in and educated all the, employees on what this process was about and what the law said about the process. And we'd have a vote and how important the vote was. And I was just that employee that, wait a minute, how much will this cost? What happens if they go on strike? What are they, I'm thinking, what?
Bottom line here.
Oh my God, my mom had just passed away a year before. Here I am kind of supporting my two younger brothers. Like, what do you, union dues, how much? I wanted to know all of those things. So because I was so interested, a couple of the consultants afterwards said to me, how would you like to do this for a living? And I was like, what? Travel around and educate employees whenever they're going through this process on, what the law says, what are their rights, their Section 7 rights under the law. So they flew me out to California. They gave me this little blue book. The National Labor Relations Act books used to be blue back then.
Right.
They go, hey, read this. Don't do anything that this book says you can't do. It's like, okay. Well, a week into my training, they got a petition, which is basically how the federal government lets the companies know enough of their employees has signed a petition for the union to come in.
Okay.
When that petition is filed, then the consultants go
negotiation
out,
begins.
right? Or they hire the firm who goes in and talk to their workers so that they make an educated, informed decision.
Right.
So they go, Kia, we need you in Philly, because
And you worked there how long?
I wasn't even working for them. I was like a contractor who
love this.
they were training, right?
So you
they
went.
threw me in them. Of course, I went. Me and 3 other guys. And so back then, the process of talking to the employees lasted about 3 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever the attorneys and the other side would stretch out and create. And by the second week, everybody was gone except me. And I walked, it was a nursing home. And I vividly remember walking the halls and just talking to the employees. And I learned then that employees don't necessarily want unions. They want to be heard. And they go and seek unions when their employer stops listening.
Ooh, this is so powerful. So you've learned a lot. This is where it started. We're going to get to that story. But what have you really learned about employees? They want to be heard. What else?
People are trying to survive, just like you
Amen.
and just like me. They have X, they make Y, and hopefully at the end it's a little Z extra left over, right?
Right.
But when what you owe is not covered by how much you work, that creates turmoil, because I want to make sure my kid eats. I want to make sure I have lights and the necessities of life, right? And so some things are just set because of the nature of the way we live. right? So if you're the person who trimmed the hedges, it very seldom is that person going to ever earn $1 million a year working for somebody else, somebody else's hedge trimming business, right? Because
Right.
that's just not the way the hierarchy in America is set up for people to earn that way.
Right.
So you're the hedge trimmer though, right? And you need to earn a certain amount, even if it's not normally what you will ever earn.
Right.
Being a hedge trimmer. Now maybe if you become the hedge trimmer and then you become the tree trimmer and then you become the person who you can earn more because you've acquired skill sets, right?
Right.
No. But people who are typically in that situation, I just want to hear that even if I stay a hedge trimmer, this outside entity can cause my company to pay me enough money to cover X.
Okay, so in that example, the person needs to make X, and the union comes in and looks like they're the savior, that they're going to get them to X plus. Is that it?
Typically. So a lot of other factors could play into that, meaning employees don't feel motivated. The company has not created parameters so that you know how you can get to, a better skill set to do more so that you can provide for your family. So it's very intriguing when this outside organization, basically propositions you and say, hey, you're a hedge trimmer. You join us. We make sure hedge trimmers get $80 more a day than what you're making. Wow, really?
Yeah.
So now a sense of unfair. I'm not being compensated enough. That entitled feeling to this more that you're speaking of.
Right.
That is only going to take root if the ground is already right, because companies have not already put things in place where employees feel valued.
Give me a little example. It's probably both sides, right?
Oh, many times. So, if you think of the history of unions, in my opinion, unions came about to fix a problem that, there was some kind of discrimination or discrepancy or something going on in the workplace. So employees felt undervalued. The unions came in, made sure, I think one of the unions' claim to fame is, unions created the weekend or whatever, you know. That's something that they kind of still say 100 years later or whatever. Nowadays, though, Pam, you could grow your company to 500 employees. By all you know, you guys are a family. You communicate, you have monthly staff meetings, you think everything is okay. I create the same or similar company, and I have a different business model than yours. Now we're seeing unions that will just show up to whatever target company that may be their target for that month or moment and say to your employees, oh, company B up the street gives their employees this, which may be different than what you do, to create a feeling of, well, Pam is treating us unfair, even if it's not necessarily the case.
Sounds like the current political environment, taking stuff and just dividing people. So now it's targeting and dividing employees inside a business. Maybe for not super moral, ethical issues.
Exactly.
It's to get more dues.
Right, because unions are business, just like my company, just like your company. And they don't represent employees for free. So if you think about a 1,000 employee hospital, typically union dues are anywhere between $50 and $100 or whatever, depending on what you do a month. Now you multiply that times 1,000 times 12 months times infinity. And so
we got a business.
Right. And now I have reason to plant seeds of distrust and create issues that may not even be there. Or maybe there is an issue. I'm going to fan it to turn it into a wildfire because I have to create a need for my services.
Yeah. Okay, so let's spin back to how you started Labor Pros. So you got that job and went in and did that one gig. And then how did you start the Labor Pro?
So I was working at that time for that particular company. And I made friends with the HR lady at the place. And she goes, wow, you're like a specialist. You know what all they bill us for you being here? It's like, no, what?
I know. Dare say, tell me.
Wow. Damn sure was not what I was getting. Not close. So I said, oh, wow. Let me Google.
I now know the market opportunity.
Of course. And there was really no minority talent. But unions at that time
I was going to go there. I'm wondering if there's a lot of people that look like you in this business.
Not very many. I am one of the few African-American females that own a labor company, a labor relations consulting group like this.
Which is a competitive advantage, I say, girlfriend.
Of course, because I pretty much look like the #1 target market for unions, African-American females, second, African-American males, then Hispanics, and then white males, and then white females. So, typically when I go in and I'm talking to a group of employees that, look like I look, and lately it hasn't been that way, but, because I can kind of touch, just transcends over just love and that you're here to do a good service. And I think people feel that. But if you send somebody, like maybe some older white guy, suit and tie, and they're there to talk to a group of, young minority females, it's like, look, you don't have any clue what it's like to grow up, how I've had to grow up. Typically, if they say that to me, I go, oh no, let me just tell you a little bit about my story. I didn't grow up with a silver spoon. Hell, I didn't grow up with a spoon, let alone a silver spoon. So I think yeah, right. It makes people connect like, wow, this girl has worked hard. She understands hard work. Let me maybe listen to something that she's going to say. There may be value in that. But first, we have to connect on a human level, period.
Okay, so the lady tells you how much they're making. Mm-hmm. Okay, next step, what do?
I start Googling consulting groups, or how do you charge, or what is a consulting firm? What do I need? I started going and reading books.
Google, baby.
Oh, my God. And I think Google was in its infancy in like 2003, right, when I started doing this. And, when the company that trained me called me back, hey, Kia, we need you to go to Texas. I go, well, if you want Kia to go to Texas, you have to hire. My old firm used to be Perimeter Consulting. And this is what we charge for Kia's services.
And what
and
they
just
say?
Like that, they were like, bitch. Oh, when did she get all smart overnight kind of thing, right? But I knew supply and demand. The supply was, the demand was great, but they didn't have the supply.
So how long ago was that?
Oh my God. So I first started doing this in 2003.
Okay. So tell me, what's been your most challenging moment of being a business owner?
Oh God, it's so many. I think.
Just yesterday at 8?
Oh my God. You know what I think it is? Mine has been giving myself that pep talk that I can do this, that I deserve this.
So the most challenging part of being an entrepreneur, business owner?
Oh, wow. I think it would have to be in the early years. Like, I can recall vividly right now sitting on the floor in my apartment saying, what the hell are you doing? Who are you to start a business? You came from poverty. Like, this is not what is expected. This is not what's accepted. People aren't going to open doors and give you opportunities. You just don't, you don't look like the part. And
You're saying this to yourself.
Yeah, to myself. Because I would go on sales calls, and I've had guys tell me, I have ties older than you. What do you know? How do you digest that? And at a moment when you have your own bills to pay and you've went through, adversity with your losing your mom, and you have your brothers and they're, how do you digest this? If this doesn't work, what do I do? So now I'm telling myself, you crazy lady, just go do physical therapy. Take your boards, go get a job at a hospital. Make your $60,000 a year. Get you a comfortable home. Like, why do you have to take the path of most resistance? And that was me. And I would hear my mom saying, oh my God, so many times I hear her voice, and she would tell me when I was a kid, because I was like, why? Your mouth is going to get you in a hell of a lot of trouble, or it's going to make you rich. So back then I was like, this damn mouth, I'm in so much trouble because I was surely not close to wealth, right?
And now you've got wealth.
Well, wealth in many ways.
Well, we define wealth as prosperity, and prosperity is more than finances, because
so
without our
more.
health, Without our relationships, without our ability to have purpose and meaning, there is no prosperous.
Right. Oh my God. And I've been there. You know, we've all been in different avenues on this journey where one thing was great. You just closed a 7-figure deal, but you go home to an empty house. You don't have children yet. You're not married. And so you sit there eating your little ramen noodles. Oh, and I used to love some ramen noodles. Even now, that's my little guilty sodium-filled snack, right? And you're saying, what does it even matter? That I don't have to worry now how I'm going to pay my light bills. I'm alone. I have nobody. And then you want to start putting the emphasis on building those relationships. And I decided a long time ago, I will have it all and at the exact same time. Whoever said that quote that you can have it all but not at the exact, they weren't referring to Nekeya. I will have it all at the exact same time. Period. Period.
Profound. So those challenging moments, what are some of your spiritual practices?
So
How do you stay
I pray. I truly believe that God is directing my path. It's something bigger out here. Believe it, don't believe it, that's your thing. But even in the energy, you can meet somebody and you feel like you've loved them and known them forever. How is that possible? On the flip side, you can meet somebody and you think they got bodies buried in their backyard. I don't know where, but something's wrong with this individual, and you keep your distance. That to me is the level of spirituality that I think we play on. I don't ever go against that, ever. And in the times that I have gone against that gut thing, that woman's intuition, as we call it, that Holy Spirit that aligns itself within us, I'm always screwed. I have an example of it happening 3 weeks ago, where I went out to help somebody that I probably shouldn't. And it caused my husband and it caused myself a great deal of stress. And we got through it, but it was on a good deed. And I knew.
Well, how did you know?
Everything in me was saying, it is a reason why this lady is in the situation that she's in. Do not try and save her. Oh, nope, not Kia. Captain Save 'em. That's me. So, I try and save her. And true to her form, she did exactly what she was designed to do.
Yeah.
And then I remember my mother saying this. It was a parable about a farmer in the wintertime, went out in his fields, and he saw a snake. And the snake was froze and it was almost dead. And the farmer, because he's a farmer, he loves all animals. He took the snake in. He warmed the snake by the fire. He fed the snake. He brought this snake from death's door to health. And the snake struck him. And as the farmer was laying there dying from the poison of this snake, he goes, why? I nursed you back to life. I helped you. I did all of these things, all these deeds. And the snake's reply was, it's my nature. I'm a snake. What did you expect me to do? I am a snake. And so I have that parable when I'm trying to deal with snake-like people. Because everybody don't care about your well-being. I have learned that there are people in this world who are put on this path and in this journey to take. I don't think they mean it, but consciously they're not aware. They're not awake. They haven't done enough work on themselves to be awake and aware. So
if you stepped out of your body and just looked at Nekeya's life over the last 20 years building this thing and having huge impact in companies and with employees, what has it been inside of you? What's been your secret sauce? What has helped you the most?
my faith, my upbringing, my struggle, my you're not supposed to be here, but you're here. So God has a purpose for your life. My tell me I can't do something and I'll show you that I will do it.
Yeah, I don't want to be on the other side of that. I mean, I really want to be on your team.
Really?
Right? Like, I'm clear. You come in, we're like, okay, girlfriend, we're going to be collaborating. We're not going to be competing.
That's it. That foundation of, that belief in God and that belief in, you're not in control of it, Nekeya. But every opportunity, every downfall, opportunity, great day, loss, every win, it's creating something bigger. And if you trust God for that bigger picture, it's going to be glorious.
So how have you handled when it hasn't been good?
Oh, I probably respond like 99% of the world. God, where are you? Why have you forsaken me? What am I doing wrong? I go through all of that. And then I think about things just as intense as that moment, but worse. And I got through it. I didn't die.
Memories of the past.
Memories of, if we keep this on the avenue of faith, as the old people in my community would say, memories of times he got you through. Okay, so now you're in another tough time, and this God who's gotten you through all of those 9 million other times, just this time is different, right? You're just gonna die. This one is gonna kill you, right? And you just remember. I remember watching my mom lose 85 pounds. I remember watching my mom, tongue swell up from chemo, feet and hands swell up, couldn't eat or talk, and she's still saying, baby, I'm gonna go and cook dinner, and never cried, never complained, never said anything that I probably would have been in there saying, the hell with this, I'm not going back to another chemo, just let me lay here and die. But I've seen strength in the spirits and the souls of the women who have gone before me.
Wow, you have had really strong mentors.
Oh my God.
So if you were giving, as we get ready to wrap up, if you were giving 3 pieces of advice to other women founders and starters, what would your advice be? Or what would your encouragement be? 3 things you'd want to say to them.
Number 1, cry when you need to cry, damn it. It's okay. You lose it sometimes. Snatch your wig off, lay in the middle of your floor and just scream if that's what you need to do to get through that moment. Women have been conditioned to believe that we have to always keep it together in the face of the world and in the middle of going through the worst things. I'm okay. It's all good. Sometimes it's not okay.
Yeah.
And your ability to cry when it's not okay and be vulnerable to the people you love will get you to the next place of strength.
Yep.
But if you try and keep that firm face like it's all together and you never have days where you just want to say, the heck with this, the kids are getting on my nerves, my employees are driving me crazy, my family makes me want to just pack up and leave, you will break down and give up because you can't continue at that frequency in living inside a lie. The second one would be, you know what? Save more than you spend and be accountable for your money.
Oh, save more than you spend and be accountable for your money.
To whom much is given, much is required. But that doesn't mean you have to give so much until you back into a poor situation. I always tell people, if you think about a coffee cup sitting in the little saucer. Back in the day, Grandma and them used to drink coffee from a little saucer, the little plate that the cup sits in. And every now and then when you pour it into the cup, it overflows into the saucer. You should only give to people from your saucer of life. The moment you start dipping into the cup, you are headed to poverty. You can't give from a place that you don't have overflow in. You can't
create overflow.
You have to create overflow first. And it's okay to tell people no. It is okay to say, right now, I'm not able to do that. Who cares if you just came out on the cover of Forbes magazine of earning $50 million? Well, my expenses are $51 million, so I'm not able to do it. It's okay. Be accountable to your earnings. Because when you don't, and we get so busy just working, right? We earn, we work. We earn, we work. We just let somebody else handle all of that stuff. And then you look up and somebody's robbed you, or your bookkeeper stole from you, or you didn't know that you had to pay all these taxes, and you weren't accountable to that wealth.
Oh, we can have a whole huge conversation on that someday. You and I will do that one. What's your third piece of advice?
And my third one would be create a truth, a quote, so to speak. That's your quote. A lot of people create quotes and we quote people's quotes or whatever, and that's nice. But create one that is your truth. Like mine is, I can have it all at the exact same time. That is my affirmation daily. I have an amazing husband. I have a beautiful son. I have a successful business. I have an amazing life. at the exact same time. I'm healthy. I'm blessed at the exact same time. Who cares if you're rich if you're sick? Like, why? Can't even enjoy it. Who cares if you're healthy if you're broke and struggling and hungry? Who cares if you have all these things and all you've ever wanted was a child, but now you're looking up and you're 47 and you never slowed down to do that? See, it only matters when it matters to you. Some people don't want kids. They want to be successful business owners. They don't. That's fine. That's their quote. It's their thing.
Yeah.
But if you want all those things, create your quote and then figure out how you can accomplish it. See, you got to put some works behind the faith. That's why people get so upset with God and spirituality and all these things, because they just expect, if I do a good job and I'm nice to people, that I'm supposed to have a path of gold paved for me. Well, it's one scripture that I remember people saying, it's in the Bible, that says faith without works is dead. You can believe all these great things. You can chant. You can burn incense. But if you're not getting up and putting some work behind all of that, you ain't gonna never see God's grace and his greatness manifested in your daily life.
Yeah, because you're breaking a natural law, right? Like you're breaking a natural law.
It's not natural to some people. Some people just feel like stuff's just I'm supposed to walk out to my car in the next 5 minutes and, oh shoot, the Powerball ticket, it's right here. It's the winning numbers from last week. Like, some people truly think that is how life works. Or, oh my God, Oprah's my aunt, so she's just supposed to send me a check every month. Like, I have people in my extended family right now who feel like I don't do enough. It's like, really?
Yeah.
What part of your life do you show up for if I'm responsible for food, clothes, and everything else, you know?
Backpack or boulder? I always say, is it a backpack? Because if it's a backpack, right, that's what Henry Cloud says in Boundaries.
Yeah.
You be carrying your own backpack.
Right.
If it's a boulder, I be helping you with a boulder.
I can help you
Pants
push.
There's a boulder.
Yeah.
Things like that. How do you define success?
Defining success for me. So for business success, it would be meeting my business goals. I set my goals every quarter. Are my employees happy? Are my employees successful? Because if I can build my employees, my team, they're going to take care of me. That's second. I always say, you hire character. You can train the person, but you hire the character. Success in my marriage is just when everything feels right and my husband and I are just best friends. He's been my love since I was 10 years old, like my soulmate. I was 10 years old the first time I saw my husband with a fishing pole, riding a bicycle to the beach, and I was walking to the beach. Back then, the beach was just jumping into the river, the Withlacoochee River, where we grew up on. And I saw him, and he saw me. And life did one of those crazy, question marks, and 15 years later, we came back together, and it's been, 5, 6 successful, years, and continuing to feel like that's my best friend through all of the trials that he's had to face and that I've had to face. And then my little one, I have a 20-month-old.
Wow.
His name is Princeton. You know what? When my son wakes up smiling, mommy's doing a good job. So I have 3 titles that I have to take care of: mommy, wife, and CEO. And if I'm at my best in those 3 titles, then that overall spells success for me.
Awesome. So as we say goodbye, is there any last thing you'd like to say to listeners?
Oh, wow. You know what? Decide. Make a decision that it's something that you want to do. Whatever that is. Start a family, grow a garden, start a business, cut your hair. Make a decision. And then put 3 bullet points under each decision that you want to accomplish as to how you're going to get there. And then find an accountability partner like a Pam or a Kia and have them hold you accountable to meeting those milestones. Because if you don't do that, it's just sticky notes all over your damn bathroom at that point, right? And nobody holds you accountable to making sure that those things are accomplished. And then once you accomplish one of them, celebrate. We don't celebrate enough, Pam. We don't.
I don't celebrate nearly
No,
enough.
we need to celebrate. Tell people about it. it's going to be a small percentage of haters who say she's bragging. So you want to hear it when I'm struggling? You want to hear the story when I'm down on my face in my bathroom saying, Lord, where are they? Oh, you want to know that because now I'm at your level. But I'm bragging if I tell you, oh my God, we just closed a $5 million deal. Oh, nobody wants to hear it. I mean, come on. The people need to grow, you know, and celebrate one another. I see women all the time and I'm like, hey, what can I do to help you? How can I help you? How can we collaborate? Because one thing I have never been is one who hates on another woman, because I understand the uphill battle that we all climb just in our day to day.
Yep.
So celebrate one another.
Celebrate one another. Oh, wow. Powerful. Like, I'm sitting here going like, I wish I could be taking notes, but I'm going to be able to listen to it several times. So where do we connect with you online?
So my Facebook is Nekeya Nunn on Facebook. My Twitter is @NunnUnion, NunnUnion. Oh, Lord, they got all these
And your
things.
website.
LinkedIn is Nekeya Nunn. My website is www.thelaborpros.com.
And your full name is?
Nekeya Nunn Parks.
We are all like deeply moved by your energy and your passion. Thank you for sharing yourself with us today.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
You're a rock star.
Thank you.